Hello, welcome back to COVID Cooking. Today we're going to do what's an oldie but a goodie at my house. It's an Italian sausage and vegetable soup. This thing started out life as me coming home from work and having to get dinner ready in like half an hour with whatever was in the fridge. And this is what it ended up as. So this is sort of a combination of kind of a minestrone and kind of a sausage and kale. And obviously you can add, subtract, whatever you want to do with the vegetables and such as you see fit. And we'll get into that a little bit later. And this is sort of a two-phase operation with the soup, and I'll tell you about that also later. Today we're drinking the Josh Cellars. This is their Legacy Red Blend. Because who can drink $30 wine every day? Not me. So this is about, I think I paid 12 bucks for it. And it's a blend of Merlot, Zin, Syrah, and Petite Syrah. So it is meant to be drank young because Merlot is a predominant grade. It's an inexpensive wine. If you're looking for a lot of depth and character and a lot of stuff going on, it's not that wine. But if you're looking for a $12 bottle of wine to drink, it's pretty good stuff. Josh Cellars is in Calistoga in northern Napa Valley. The owner is Joseph Carr, and he named it after his father, Josh. And if nothing else, look them up. These guys do a ton of great work for the community, donating to veterans and homeless people and with all the fires and such. So these guys really do a great job. Now, most of the wines that I saw online were in the $12 to $20 range. I have found that most of these wineries, if you actually go to the winery, they've got other stuff that is much, much better. So there's only one way to find out, and that's to go to Napa Valley and go to Josh Cellars. So that's what we're having today. This is an easy, uncomplicated red table wine. It's good stuff. So, Italian sausage and vegetable soup. There's a couple of traditional Italian soups, one of which is sausage and kale, which is basically sausage with kale and cannellini beans. There's something about Italians with cannellini beans where if you don't use cannellini beans in whatever you're making, some guy named Joey the Fish shows up at your door and wants to know what's the problem. So, cannellini beans. I use canned because I'm lazy. You can use dry and make your own. If you use canned, get a good one. If you use dry, use all the necessary stuff for dry. Go through them, make sure there's no rocks in there, soak them the day before. Yeah, it's kind of a pain. So here we have 5 carrots, 3 stalks of celery with the tops. You notice the tops on there. I love the tops for the same reason I like parsley. It gives a little edge to it. This is 2 onions, cento tomatoes, of course, plenty of garlic, zucchini and yellow squash, and kale, and the white beans. When I said there's 2 parts to this, I don't know, if you can make a little bit of soup, you go for it. I can't. I can't make less than a gallon of soup. So there's always going to be leftovers. So what I like to do with this is I make it so that what we're going to have tonight is going to be on the fresh side. In other words, the zucchini and the yellow squash and the kale are going to go in, and I'm not going to let them cook for very long. But then tomorrow, when you reheat it, they've had a chance for those flavors to all melt together. So it's almost like 2 completely different soups. Okay? So come on around. This is about a pound of sweet Italian sausage and a pound of hot Italian sausage. I like it chunky. If you don't want it chunky, then get the stuff that is not in the casings, and then you can just crumble it in there and it's great. This is chicken stock that's been going for 3 hours, and 3 hours is about as long as I want it to go. So this is just about right for this application. These are just heating up. I already cooked them a little bit. I wanted to show you kale. What you don't want in the kale is this thick stem. You know, fiber's great, but that stuff really doesn't cook. So what I do is tear it off like that. This end is okay, and then just cut it or tear it however you want to do. Like I said, I use kale. I think the first time I made this soup, I had spinach in the fridge, so you know, you can use spinach, you can use any kind of greens you want. You can even use like lettuce, romaine, or something like that. I like the kale because it has a lot of body and it has flavor to it. And like I said, this came around with me making dinner for a family. So when you're making dinner for a family, you're always trying to figure out a way for kids to eat their vegetables. So stuff like kale, and I'm always trying to figure out a way for me to eat kale. So this is a good way to do that. It hides the veggies in with the sausage and all the other good stuff. I'm not really looking to brown the garlic because this is going to cook for an hour anyway. Now, if you wanted to do just sausage and kale soup, I would go with no carrots, half the amount of onions and celery, and then twice the amount of kale and cannellini beans. Now, all this stuff looks like a ton of stuff, but remember, all this stuff is like 80% water, so it's all going to cook down. Onion, celery, and carrots classically is known as a mirepoix. The mirepoix is going in first because you sort of can't overcook it. You know, if you cook carrots for 3 hours, they'll be soft, but they won't be mushy. And celery is sort of the same thing. I'm also going to add Calabrian chilies because I don't do anything without Calabrian chilies anymore. A little bit of basil, oregano, a little bit of thyme, not a lot, and some dried parsley. Dried parsley because I'm putting it in at the beginning and it's going to cook, so it'll rehydrate itself and it'll still lend that parsley flavor. I hope this pan's big enough. I just want to saute these veggies a little bit. Sauteing vegetables always brings the flavor out. If you just, like, let's say I had the sausage and I put the stock in and then I put the veggies in, you would get about half the amount of flavor out of these veggies. Okay, the veggies have softened up a bit. Now I'm going in with the chicken stock. So now we'll go with the dried herbs. Basil. Basil is not real strong. Oregano is not super strong, but it's very bitter, so I put very little of that in. Little bit of thyme. And parsley. So that's part one. I'm going to let this cook for half an hour or so. We'll come back and finish it off. Okay, we're back. Excuse me. This has been cooking for about 20 minutes, which is all I really needed. Get the vegetables soft, get the flavors working in there a little bit. So now the squash is going to go in. Once again, it looks like a lot of product. It's really a lot of water. These are the Cento tomatoes, of course, and I used the chunks of tomatoes. You see they look pretty big, but they'll cook down. And a little bit of the juice, and that's about a half a can. Okay. Calabrian chilies. Not too much, because don't forget we've got spicy Italian sausage in here. So now, this is going to cook for another half hour or so. When we come back, I'm going to put that in a different pot because it ain't all going to fit. So we'll be back in 20 minutes. We're back. The soup cooked for about 20 minutes or so. And then I put the kale in. So if you look at the kale right now, it's still bright green. So right now, it's got some texture to it. Like I said, to me, this is a two-part soup. So right now, the veggies are still crisp. The zucchini and the yellow squash are still fresh. Of course, you want to put some good Parmesan cheese on here, some Reggiano. And then you are good to go. So today, this will have, right now, this will have a taste of all the fresh veggies and everything. That's a nice fresh soup. Tomorrow, it will have the taste of a soup that has been, all those flavors have been melding together, and it'll be equally good, but completely different. So, that's my sausage, Italian sausage and vegetable soup. Next up is pernil. So, we'll catch you next time. Thanks a lot.